Well, hey there. Welcome to season 5, episode 4, where I'm going to talk about how you can use collaborations to replace your content plan from a visibility perspective. Because I'm all about leveraged visibility. And particularly if you are like me and you're not really on the social media bandwagon, you do need to think about, okay, well, how else am I going to be visible and discoverable? And the difference between the two is discoverability is about someone searching for you, or not so much searching for you specifically, although that definitely will happen, but searching for something that you have something created that draws them in. Typically, that is going to be a long form content platform, right? Blog, YouTube channel, podcast. And it doesn't have to exclusively be YouTube, it could be a video content platform, but that's discoverability. Someone can discover you through search. Visibility is different. Visibility is where you're now showing up when someone isn't searching. So that's really the difference between the two, is that visibility is more intentional on your part. Discoverability is driven more by your audience. Now, you also want to make sure that you're optimizing content for discoverability, but let's circle back to visibility, because really that's what social media is visibility. And if you're not doing it, then what else are you doing? And that is why I love collaborations. And collaborations come in many forms, and I love to do a mix. Last year, I went through the process of participating in over 45 collaborations. So that sounds like a lot, right? Like if you think about that, there are 12 months in the year, that is more than two collaborations a month, right? If I'm doing 45, you do the math. And what I learned and discovered is that from a visibility perspective, it was far more successful than anything I'd ever done on social media. And it's simply because when we talk about leverage visibility, we are using other people's audiences. And when they introduce us to their audience, then we are in a position where it's a warm introduction, right? It's kind of like, you going to meet a bunch of friends at a bar, and each friend has brought a new person along and they introduce you, you are automatically putting that person much higher on the list of wanting to put in some effort because you really trust your friend. And this is exactly what it's like when you participate in collaborations. So that's why I want to talk about how literally one collaboration can replace 30 days of content, particularly if you are doing social media. So again, leverage. You want to ensure that a couple of things are in place before you just go, great, I'm off social media and I'm just diving into collabs, because Lisa's just shared this amazing tidbit. Definitely want to do some due diligence. So, if you're going to use collaboration for leverage visibility, then you want to make sure that the collaboration really does have your ideal fit audience, because this is the great thing about collaborations, is that you get to choose which ones you're going to put effort into, because depending on the type of collab, you're going to need to put in effort on more, less on others, but it's directly correlated to the effort that you put in, the output that you get. So when you're thinking about a collaboration, the very first question that you really want to be asking yourself is, do they have the audience that I really want to get in front of? Because now you're not really worried about the scatter gun approach, right? You're not having to throw spaghetti at the wall like you're doing if you're doing social media, where you're just posting and hoping that your audience is going to see it. With leverage visibility, aka collaborations, you're now able to intentionally pick the right collaboration to bring in the right fit audience. So that's kind of step one. Step two is to then go, okay, depending on the collaboration, there's probably going to be some type of freebie involved. Is that freebie aligned as well? Is that going to do a really good job of bringing people in and then connecting them to a paid offer? Because if you're going to do collaboration, you definitely want to put them through a slightly different welcome sequence than just kind of your standard. In fact, I would probably recommend that your welcome sequence should always present an offer, regardless of what that offer is. And so when you are sitting down and kind of mapping out collaborations, you just want to go, okay, this is where you need to have a really good idea of what your offer suite looks like and where the roads lead. And then you can kind of go from there. And so that is why you definitely want to have some type of funnel in place that takes someone through. Okay, so they're coming through a collaboration, they've got your amazing freebie, whatever that happens to be. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's your always free thing. It could be an offer that is normally paid, but you are, for a short period of time, gifting people access. If you're doing that, you absolutely want to make sure that you're then presenting them with a paid offer. And typically, I would say, based on my own conversions, the ones that convert is something under $20 because, again, they're still new to your world. They're warmer, but you still don't want to hit them over the head with like a, $500 group coaching program, right? Unless that is a good fit. And you'd probably have had to have done a little bit more legwork, and you'd have to probably be doing, some type of summit collaboration for that scenario to work. And in fact, it would probably be your summit that would make sense for something like that. But you kind of get my point, right? You're not going to imagine we're at the bar again. You're not going to turn around and say to your brand new, friend that you've just been introduced, hey, buy me the top shelf wine, right? Like $100 bottle. That's not going to happen. So you've got to think through this in the same way. Think about the people that you're wanting to get in front of as friends, and how would you approach them? What would make sense for them to get access to? And it is always going to be dependent on the free gift that they're getting access to. What makes sense? And then you can obviously do a tripwire, right? They're going to sign up for your thing and then be immediately presented with some low cost offer. And ideally, I would say that's under $10. And then you take them through a nurture sequence on the back end, right? Your welcome sequence that leads into a paid offer. That is a very loose flow for what I would consider a really good leverage visibility opportunity. Now, obviously, we talk about this a lot inside the 1K Lab. And if you haven't checked it out, you should go and do that. Head to hustleandgroove.com/the 1K Lab. And that one is the number one. And I really hope you enjoyed the Simple Success session, because if you can wrap your head around collaborations and doing that more instead of throwing kind of spaghetti at the wall if you're doing social media. I'm not saying that you need to stop social media, right? If you enjoy social media, keep doing it, but just keep in mind that you don't own that platform. Whereas when you are doing a collaboration, you own that process. It's very intentional, it's very warm, and you will find that you might have lower people coming in, but higher conversions. And that was certainly my experience from 45 collaborations that I did in 2025. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will be in your podcast feed next week with the next episodes. Take care.